Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we are now at episode 3 of the Rumblecast. You guys have been really enjoying the last 2 episodes. It's a good spot to maybe start some conversations, and we thought we'd continue. And today, my topics, I have 3 topics. We are first going to talk about the new Fortification Modifier, which units are better, which units are worse. Then we are going to talk everything new coming with the new season. So the new season is only 2 weeks from today. So yeah, we are going to talk about all of the new stuff that we have confirmed for season 2. And then finally, we are going to talk about some new archetypes we'd like to see in the game. And like always, we're going to have some other great topics on Excoundrel's channel. So what are your topics on your channel?
So I might be going down a slightly more, serious route. Talking about do we think the game launched in like a release state? It's a pretty common question when it comes to Blizzard games in general. But do we think the game launched at a state where we would like be saying, yeah, it's got everything that it needs? I'm going to talk a little bit about the speed of the roadmap. So kind of like how quickly content's going to get out there, how quickly we can release content, and then going to talk a little bit about minis that we think are missing from the game in terms of like specific minis. Like, you know, an example would be like a flying resistant mini. Like, do we have like a flying resistant mini that would, you know, would we need that? Would it fit in a certain deck, or make things slightly easier, or open up options and stuff like that?
Cool. Well, yeah, I guess we're going to start with our first topic. So we just got the new Fortification Modifier. So if you guys are not familiar, every 2 weeks we get a new modifier in the game. So it's either going to be a map, so a map change, or a tower change. And then finally, we also have the new modifier, Fortification, which just came out last Sunday. So that was yesterday. And yeah. What does that modifier do? It towers have twice as much health. So I believe, and I'm pretty sure that it only applies to the other towers that are not your base tower, right? So this has some big implications, because some units are going to take a big advantage from that. And please keep in mind that this modifier is going to stay throughout the new map. So we are going to talk about that in the next topic, but we are getting a new map in 2 weeks. So this modifier is going to stay for this map. And then I think it's probably lasting every 6 weeks, right? Is that how it works? Every 6 weeks?
Yeah, so yeah, we get rotations every 6 weeks, because obviously we have 3 modifiers. They rotate every 2 weeks. And yeah, we have a lot of interesting modifiers that could come up, but this one's to me, on this map, personally, my vibe is that it doesn't matter too much. Obviously, we've had big changes, like Dragon Tower completely reshaped the meta, Whereas this is a bit like, The only thing that I think this is going to have an impact on is your tried and tested little true Goblin Sappers combo. You're probably going to have to run 2 of them. You're going to have to run 2 of them to get that. And that's to make that cycle work is a bit more time investment. You can't blitz the enemy base. But for the most part, I don't know how much impact it's really going to have on the current meta.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's why I was mentioning within the new map that might have a bigger impact, because a lot of the other maps we played, or at least one of them I played, had a central base and then a secondary base on each lane. So if we have like our first line of defense being fortified towers, that might be huge. But now the way everyone plays is they push everything either down the middle or in the right lane on Alterac Valley, making this modifier not really noticeable, I guess. But like you just said, so I had some picks. My first picks for losers was obviously the Goblin Sappers. I think this one is an extremely obvious one. I think they're barely playable, or I guess they might still be playable, but they're much worse, because we had the biggest play from the Goblin Sapper was to take down that tower, that secondary tower, with a single volley, and then afterwards you would just spawn some more Goblin Sappers from that base to destroy the other base. Obviously, you're gonna get a bigger advantage if you do take that tower, but it's extremely rare. I don't have stats, but I would say like once every 10 game or 9 game or 8 game, if I want to be generous, that I actually took down the tower before winning the game. Especially with the Dragon Towers, we always end up in overtime, so we end up just doing damage to like a safe pile behind the base. So yeah, I don't think So I think you agree, right? Fortifications for this map might not have big of an impact. I think that's what you said
No,
earlier.
but there are other maps where you like, for instance, I think it's Westfall or something like that, where I can't remember which map it is specifically, but it's the one that looks a little bit like the Harvest Golem map from the PvE. Like where you have to take the
Yeah,
towers to get to the enemy base. So
exactly. Yeah.
if you're in a map where you're like forced to take the towers to get to the enemy base, then it's obviously going to make more sense that will have way more of an impact. But for this map in particular, like that side tower was a luxury a lot
Yeah.
of the time. Like you either took it when you were really far ahead, or you took it because you were running the Goblin Sappers combo and it was a bit of a cheese, right? But that tower is, like, I would say, taken in about less than 20% of my matches.
Right.
And if you
Something like
take it,
that.
if you take it, it's usually a death sentence for your game. Like
Yeah.
if you take it and don't recover it, it's so hard to recover from that position. So
Yeah.
the only impact that I think it might have is it might make some of the slower decks a little bit more playable because they are not going to be threatened from losing their side tower as easily. I think it also makes Maiev slightly worse because Maiev was good at taking those towers because she could spawn like Quillball plus Skeleton Party or Quillball plus something, and she could usually just like blitz that tower really quickly. But really, like if Maiev taking that tower wasn't always like the only Maiev strategy that you played. Like a lot of Maevs just like to go for pure gold control, etc. So I think like ultimately, I think it will have a small impact on the map, but I don't think it's going to suddenly like shift the meta like we saw with Dragon Towers. But like we said, there probably is a situation where Goblin Sappers probably aren't that playable anymore. Especially because people are already playing like loads of Chain Lightning, for instance, and people have kind of started playing a bit better with their safe pilots to predict their movements, etc. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. It might make slower decks a bit safer. It might kill off the Goblin Sappers. It might make Maiev slightly worse on that side of the map, but ultimately that tower was a massive luxury on this particular map. Now, when the map changes big, that's when it's going to be probably big. But right now, I think for the next 2 weeks, you're not going to see a huge shift.
I had also written down that unfortunately I think Baron is even better because like one way of defeating Baron over there was to take down that tower, and now like it's so much harder to do so. I don't know. I kind of feel like just a combo of fortification with the Dragon Tower is really weird because Dragon Towers makes tower extremely tough to take, and yeah, like all the units that would benefit normally from that. I was thinking like the Gargoyle by example, right, or any big siege unit. They would have taken advantage of that modifier because they're still able to destroy those towers really easily. But all of those units are usually melee units that just get destroyed by the Dragon Tower. So I just feel like it's a kind of a weird combo. And I really don't know what unit gets actually that much better, that much like, for example, and I'm curious of your thought about that, but like the Dark Patrol, is the Dark Patrol with Big Bad Voodoo better or worse now that towers, because like he can still take down the tower, but then your opponent has twice as much time to deal with
to respond to him.
But at the same
it's
time,
interesting.
he gets more value if he does. I don't know. It's like
It's interesting. And I think you raise a really good points there, actually, Big Math. Obviously, I kind of glossed over Baron. I think you're right. Baron gets a lot better. Mostly because, like you said, one of the best ways to actually deal with Baron is stop a skeleton spawn, because his skeletons coming from that tower are usually the things that chip away at your base and make your life a living hell. So, like, taking that tower was a good strategy versus Baron, although it is a very hard tower to take. Obviously now even harder. I think Big Bad Voodoo Troll is interesting. It's one of the few units in the game that can, especially in Cairn, it's one of the few units in the game that can actually fully tank that tower and not take any HP damage, because just it is so far away, it regenerates HP. It's one of the few units in the game that can actually just completely stay healthy and push that tower. And so I think, like, ultimately him as an individual unit, yes, definitely gets a bit better in that sense. But as you said, like, it really only requires one safe pilot or one spawn on top of him to deal with him, and it's now going to take him twice as long to take that tower. So, ultimately, I think it depends on how you use him, depends on where you place him, depends on what answers your opponent has got. But for 3 gold and you send it to that tower, it's going to demand an answer, right? Because it's one of the few units by itself that will take that tower. You can't. I don't think you could. Even a Huntress, I think, might struggle at this point by herself to take that tower. And she's a 5 gold investment, and sending her to that tower is usually a bit of a meme. So it's sort of like, for 3 gold with Big Bad Voodoo, and it demands an answer. Might get a bit of increased value from that.
Well, I think it's almost more like a decreased value in Serpent Sting actually, because like now I think Serpent Sting could already take down the tower before, but now it can't. It probably can't anymore. I haven't tested it actually, but it probably can't take the tower by himself, right? With the Serpent Sting.
Yeah, I don't think it would be likely that it gets the tower with Serpent Sting. I think you're right.
Exactly.
I think you'd need Big Bad Voodoo, and Big Bad Voodoo really was. It was good, but it was obviously the best in Cairn. I think people outside of Cairn
Yeah.
were sort of straying away from Big Bad Voodoo because ultimately, without Big Bad Voodoo, like if you took Big Bad Voodoo in like a Grom deck, for instance, you just get safe piloted and it's automatically dead. Whereas in Cairn, you need more than just a safe pilot at even levels usually to get past Darkspear Troll.
I've actually seen just just a little thing is that I've actually seen some Drakisath lists play Darkspear Troll with Big Bad Voodoo because if the Darkspear Troll is close to and keep in mind that we are obviously using the
elemental resist talent, yeah.
Exactly. So there's a way to play the Dark Patrol with chromatic scales where the Dark Patrol is going to survive from a safe pilot and heal back with Big Bad Voodoo. So yeah, that's another unique interaction that I didn't think of initially, but yeah.
I actually I have actually seen that list and have played against that list a few times on the ladder.
Oh, yeah.
I saw someone really weirdly. I was playing him on stream. They were running Darkspear Troll plus Frostwolf Shaman, which to me made absolutely zero sense because the only big threats to Darkspear Troll are usually safe pilot, well pegs, sometimes spells, which are all elemental damage. So like you're getting almost no value out of running Darkspear Troll with armor unless you just think that you're going to tank like a prowler or something. Like it helps versus like a prowler option, but that's usually like a last resort option of dealing with Darkspear Troll. And not, I know a lot of people run prowler, so I kind of get it from that sense, but yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. But obviously, a lot of people like to sort of experiment with Darkspear Troll at the moment. It is a very, very good unit. I don't think it's like S+ tier, but I think it's like a very good unit, especially in Horde decks where you kind of want to fill those Horde slots with something that's useful. And there aren't really that many great Horde units to play. So, I think like, yeah.
I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but
no, yeah.
Like some people keep saying like that because I did a video, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but like on a bounce change wish list or prediction,
I did.
And people have been saying like no, it's the damage from the safe pilot that needs to be nerfed and not like the area. If the damage from the safe pilot gets nerfed and doesn't one shot a Darkspear Troll is gonna be so broken in the meta. I think so broken.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you. I think like the damage from the safe pilot, it does what it needs to do to deal with the things that it's supposed to deal with. Like you've got to remember that that safe pilot is a 3 gold investment. That's not super cheap. It's like kind of middle of the road, right? 3 and 4 gold is about your middle of the road investment for a mini. So it's generally used to deal with minis that are about 3 or 4 gold. The damage is supposed to trade evenly over all of them. And if you're running, you've got to remember that if you're not running Gnomish Cloaking Device and it doesn't one-shot something, your safe pilot just dies because she winds up that attack for so long. So you don't want to ruin people's trading potential if they don't have the talent. So I agree with you. I'm actually not sure what I'd nerf on safe pilot. I think I think either I'd slightly increase the cast time on her actual attack ever so slightly, or I agree with you. I might even reduce her health so she's way more squishy, like so that she takes like 1 shot to kill from most things.
Yeah,
really
something.
Yeah, really treat her as like a glass cannon ultimately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think the area is also an interesting nerf, and I think that's also fine. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep going with another one so we don't just use this whole section to talk about Dark Patrol.
Yeah.
I had also, and this makes me very sad, but Sneed gets obviously worse. I think he gets worse, right, with the fortification because even less often we're going to get that tower. And so that 2 gold from Sneed was already bad, but now
I think he's already the worst. I think he might actually just be the worst leader in the game on this map.
He already gets worse. Interesting, right? I wouldn't even buff Sneed because like I think it's really the kind of leader that it just depends on the map. Because if you do remember last map with the chest, it was so strong. You could play Sneed on the chest and just get 6 gold immediately. I think. Wait, did they rework that ability? Um,
Um,
is it
I
only from
can't
tower
remember.
now? No, no, it's not. Okay. So yeah, if chests are very close to bases, Sneed is very strong in PvP because you just play Sneed on that chest, and then he takes the chest and he gets 6 gold because the 2 gold from the chest, the 2 gold from his ability, and the 2 gold from his talent. So yeah, but it still sucks. I love Sneed so much, and I mean, he can't get a break this season. He just gets destroyed on Alterac Valley. He's
It,
also my first epic leader. This sucks.
yeah, no, you are right though. Sneed. I don't think you actually need to change Sneed. Ultimately, was it Ashenvale or was it like Warsong Gulch that we were on last time? I can't remember the name of the map, but
I don't remember, but I'll play it on
it,
screen.
but it was better for Sneed because your chest was so much closer to your base. It was much more difficult for you to contest the enemy chest. You were almost like, for the most part, guaranteed. You're guaranteed to get the gold from your chest. And even if they did contest it with unbounds, they couldn't support it with anything other than unbounds to begin with. So it was like much easier to play Sneed. On this map, both chests are like basically right next to each other. You can support your unbound minis attack on the chest with like a prowler or a stone hoof, and it usually gets there in time. And it's so easy to contest Sneeds. That's why it's just not, he's not playable on Alterac Valley, really.
Like if there was like a unbound, or maybe so if there was an unbound siege unit that could take
chests.
chest. Yes, that's the last part. So if Earth Elemental could attack chest, well then Sneed might be okay actually, because you would play Sneed and then Earth Elemental on the chest. Or no, sorry, you would just play the Earth Elemental on the chest, get 6 gold. That would be sick. That would be a great change. Yeah, no, but so Sneed even worse right now in the current meta.
Yeah.
Do we have any other picks? Have you thought of any other units that are affected by fortification?
Maybe Frostwolf Raider, like the Frostwolf Rider, the riding.
Yeah, all of the siege units, I feel like gets a nerf from that change, because there's the dragon towers. If there wasn't, it would be the opposite. They would be better. Yeah. But
yes, it's like these types of units. I think, for instance, Earth Elemental, right? Earth Elemental. If we were playing with normal guard towers, Earth Elemental actually probably has a place in some lists, especially if you're going to run it with Harpies. Because, for instance, if towers were really important, I'd actually run Earth Elemental Harpies with Poison combo in PvP, because that's probably the quickest way to deal with a double damage tower. The Harpies are, I think, the single highest DPS squad/unit in the game, and so you would very quickly shred through towers. I know that Harpies are very vulnerable, right? But they require an answer. So, you run Infectious Swipes plus Earth Elemental. It's my favorite PvE combo, but it makes sense versus a double damage like guard tower that deals physical damage. But versus the Dragon Towers, there's absolutely no way that you can play that. So that's the problem. I think like we've got double damage Dragon Towers for the next 4 weeks, which makes towers incredibly hard to take, which is going to be very interesting if we move on to a map where you need to take the towers, because you're suddenly then having to think about, well, Quillbore is going to be almost giga necessary in these scenarios, because you're going to need a resistant tank that can at least buy you time taking the tower. It might be that other resistant tank types like Fire Elemental might go up in value, because you're going to need you might even need a really high HP resistant tank to do the job for you. But yeah, in terms of units that get worse, I don't know. I think we've covered the big ones. If you guys have any other thoughts in the comments about which units you think are going to get,
make sure to tell us down below which units are getting better. I'm sure there's some interaction we haven't thought of. But overall, I think it didn't affect as much the meta as last time. So last time we had, I believe, we had the was it the cycle one, or the one that gets +1 level, right? So Hogger was just extremely
broken. Hogger was insane.
So Hogger was insane with the new modifier, but this time I don't think it affects anything really. Well, not too much, but make sure to tell us down below so we are all aware together as a community of what's better, what's worse. I kind of wish we would have something that would make a bigger difference, I guess. I would have taken.
I like things that have a bit more a meta impact, right? Every 2 weeks you get a bit of a shift, because it gives me and you more to talk about, but which is always nice. But B, it keeps the meta game fresh, because I think that's one of the things that we were hoping.
Patch Like that's if they're going to be slow with, and I guess we might talk about that later or maybe not, but if they are going to be slow with like balance changes and stuff, I think it's important that modifiers and map changes and stuff at least have a big impact. So the Dragon Towers did have a big impact. I would have wished as much of a big impact on the modifier. But yeah, I mean, once they get like a pipeline rolling, if we get some balance change I would have said every middle of season, because if we're getting a new map every season, and then in the middle of season we get some balance changes, perhaps some small tweaks, then I think we would have like kind of like a diverse meta across the whole season. Anyway, that's a topic for another time, but yeah, overall it's still fun. I still love having Shay. I just wish it was a little bit more. The one I would have liked having, for example, would have been like maybe chess give 1 gold instead of 2. I think that was an example you gave on the first Rumble cast. I think that would have been cool. Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to how do Blizzard make those choices. Maybe eventually they could explain those changes in the Discord or something like that. I think that would help to understand the reasoning. Maybe it's like predefined, or maybe it's even random. Who knows? But yeah, any final words on the fortifications?
I think we've covered a lot. I think ultimately we could be here forever talking about hypotheticals. So I think we'll leave it up to our commenters to add some more to this conversation.
Of course. Yeah, guys, make sure to tell us down below. And all right, so we'll jump into the next topic. This is very cool, guys. We are 2 weeks away from the new season, and this is everything new coming with the new season and what to expect. So the first thing, and then we've just talked about it, the first thing is we are getting a new map. And the new map we are getting is Arathi Basin. I think it's how we are supposed to pronounce it. Yeah, so new map. I'm not extremely aware with the whole of World of Warcraft lore. Do you know a little bit about the lore of Arathi Basin?
Yeah, so it's interesting. And then one of the things that I think a lot of Warcraft fans really like about Warcraft Rumble is they're quite true to World of Warcraft in the way that they do it. So like Alterac Valley, Arathi Basin, Warsong Gulch, these are all maps that you play in PvP in World of Warcraft. And Arathi Basin is a human versus undead. I think it's undead. I'm going to double check, but I think it's a human versus undead battle area, which is capture the point. So it's kind of a capture and hold point type thing in World of Warcraft, which is really cool. And so it's like I think it's in the Lordaeron region, like sort of the Lordaeron Eastern Kingdoms type thing. So it's kind of up around the Lordaeron Eastern Kingdoms area, but it's very very sort of classic. It's probably one of the most classic PvP maps in World of Warcraft, and it's yeah, I think a lot of people's favorites. Like a lot of people really like Arathi Basin from World of Warcraft. It's like a very open, expansive map. Lots of different paths you can travel down. I don't think I've played Arathi Basin in the beta, so I don't know if you've played it or you know anything about it.
Wait, it was in the beta?
Well, I assume there was rotations of maps in the beta, but
no, I don't think so. I've actually, so guys, if you guys don't know, in the data files, right, we have 5 maps, and Arathi Basin wasn't in those 5 maps. So
really?
Yeah, okay. In the data file, and this is the spicy part, which probably means we are gonna get a patch before the new season, which is, guys, I might be completely wrong. Please don't take my word too seriously, but that's what I understood, or at least from the data files, there was only 5, and I'm gonna put all 5 on screen now there, and it's not in there. So I'm expecting a new patch, and I guess the okay, I'm just gonna finish with the new map. I'm very excited to see how it's gonna be. I love having a new map. It's like Christmas for me when there's a new map. I actually loved Alterac Valley when it released, but now I think I'm kind of fed up with it.
I'm kind of done with Alterac Valley. I'm not gonna lie. I'm quite happy to see Alterac Valley go.
So yeah, we are gonna get this new map. I'm super excited, guys. Tell us down below what you guys think this map will look like. We've just had like this was a 3-lane. Maybe it's gonna be a 2-lane, maybe a 4-lane. Who knows? We'll have
4-lane. Bloody hell.
Yeah. Well, in my head, like 4 lanes is like the Gromash map, right? So it's like 2 lanes that split in 2, meets in the middle, and then goes back into 2. Anyway,
so Arathi Basin in World of Warcraft is 3 lanes.
okay,
So it's one goes down, one goes up, and one goes straight. Basically,
okay, in
is
that order, right? So
yeah, I mean
right.
the middle road kind of splits in two and then goes round like a point. But
Okay.
yeah, you have a downwards on the left, you have an upwards on the right, and then you have a middle.
Well, that would be interesting actually, having like a circle in the middle where they would like, I don't know, meet there. That
Oh,
would
you
be
mean like
interesting.
from the PvE maps where they kind of walk around a specific way on the circle?
Yeah, well, I would maybe more like an arrow in the middle, and then you could choose which way they go. But yeah, something like that. I wouldn't like them to all go like counterclockwise or whatnot. Um, anyway, I think that would be very cool. Very excited. And so what I was saying with the data files, that we don't have that map, we also do not have the Chimera in the data files, right? Which is the next meeting we are getting with the new season. So in 2 weeks, we are going to get a new guild war chest. And in this new guild war chest, we will have the Chimera unit. So this is going to be a free unit for every player. We're all going to get it at 10K, and we are probably going to get a bundle as well if you want to get it faster. So yeah, we can expect the Chimera to be here. And that's why I'm also saying we are going to get a patch, because we have the map and the Chimera that are not in the data files. But that's just speculation on my end. Do you have something to say before I jump into my? I wanted to talk about the Chimera. What is it? Or
no, I think ultimately there are just these two new big things coming. Like season 2 brings a new unit, a couple of new guild chest rewards, and obviously the new map to PvP. So I think obviously we could go into buffs and nerfs, but let's not bother yet because you've already done a video on it. I think let's talk about them closer to the time when we actually see the patch notes come up.
Yeah, just quickly.
If there is a patch.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I don't want to do too much speculation, but that's the idea. I just wanted to talk quickly. So the Chimera, what we know, so today the topic is everything we know that is coming. So I'm not talking speculation. I'm doing speculation that there's going to be a patch note, but everything else that I'm talking about is things we know that are going to be here. So yeah, we are getting the Chimera. Chimera, the way they explained it, is a flying beast unit. And it's not a squad mini, so that's something they detailed a lot. Because right now, all the flying beast units are squad. For example, the harpies, the vultures. Is there other ones? I guess these are the 2 flying beast units.
No, yeah, I think there's only flying harpies and vultures that are squad. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we are going to have, it's going to be a single mini that is going to be flying. I'm expecting the Chimera to be expensive, but we don't know the cost. But yeah, I'm expecting Rand decks to obviously run the Chimera. Chimera seems to be a big monster that has 2 heads. One of the head is going to throw poison. The other one is going to have like a chain lightning ability or something like that. That's the detail they gave us during the BlizzCon presentation. And yeah, that's what I'm expecting the Chimera to be. And also, just to close off with this season, what we are going to get this season, we are going to get, first of all, 2 weeks after the new map release, we are going to get the rocket towers. So we are not going back to the guard towers. We're now going to the rocket towers 2 weeks in. So if I think the season starts on December 10th. So 2 weeks after that would be like Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, we should have the rocket towers. And then 2 weeks after that, we are going to lose the Fortifications Modifier and get a clean fight modifier, which means no modifier. So this is kind of like the roadmap of what we know.
Does it go, because we obviously just had clean fight, does it go modify, clean fight, modify, clean fight, modify, clean fight over and over in a cycle like that?
I mean, perhaps if they follow this trend, I guess that's probably the case.
Because obviously we had the Hero's Resolve, which was the level up the leader every time you play it.
Yeah.
The Hoggo. It was also pretty good for Tyrion as well.
Right.
But yeah, the level up the leader every time you play him. Then we had clean fight. Now we've got fortifications, and it seems to be going back to clean fight. But I do remember, I think that they had a bug with the because it was telling us for ages that we were going from guard tower to guard tower, if you remember,
Oh yeah.
and then it ended up being dragon towers. So I think that maybe there might be a bug. Maybe sometimes they have bugs in terms of the next modifier on the tooltip. I don't know what the deal is though.
Well, I guess we'll have to see, but I think maybe that was like a bug because of like the release of the game and something like that. I think it was, and there was like a patch coming, I believe, at that time as well. During like I think that was like a week before the launch of the game, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
guys,
could be right.
In that Guild War chest, obviously we are all gonna get a new Guild War chest, which is very cool. With the Chimera, and we are hopefully gonna get a new emote. I love emotes, so hopefully we are gonna get a new one. I haven't seen any other emotes in the data files. So yeah, we don't know, and we're probably also gonna get another epic core. We're gonna have to see what they give. I think it's the first time we actually have an emote in the Guild War chest, so we don't know if it's like gonna be a staple we're gonna have every week. Every season, but I'm expecting to. I think it would be cool to have this season emote they can only get through the war chest, because it's a way of like, let's say we're season 10 eventually, well then we'll be able to flex our season 1 emote, you know. So I don't know, I like that idea. I think it's a small thing, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about what did we have before Sylvanas in the war chest? Was it just
It was Sneed.
Yeah, but what was after Sneed? It wasn't an emote, was it?
Oh no, it was like arc-like energy, I think. Or
yeah,
something.
It was arc-like energy. Yeah. We didn't have emotes in the game
exactly,
at that point. So
yeah.
Why. Yeah.
So yeah. So guys, yeah, I think we've covered everything you can expect with the new season without any announcements. So perhaps Blizzard is going to add more. We know there are still. So guys, Dave actually listened to our podcast last week. I just want to update you guys. They listened to the podcast, and we were actually messaged by one of the community manager at Blizzard, telling us that they are still working on the game. They haven't dropped it.
They haven't disappeared.
They haven't disappeared. They are working hard. Still, we are still free to criticize Blizzard if we have some opinions and stuff like that. But I just wanted to be clear that they're still working. They haven't pulled the plug. Just that little message they sent us for me really gave me back some energy into this game, have more faith into the game. I think the game is awesome. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. And in only 2 weeks, we're getting the new season. And we are probably going to get some articles of Blizzard explaining what does the Chimera do about the new map. So we should be expecting news soon. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think like it was really nice for the community team to reach out to us because,
yep.
You know, as content creators, and I think in that video I even said, like, I've been through some tough times with games where you get super excited about a launch of a game, and then you think it's going well, and then it doesn't quite meet the internal team's expectations, and then look, it's been a hard year for the games industry. If anyone that's been following the games industry knows, you can see round and round and round of layoffs at games industries. You know, so if a game doesn't meet expectations or it's not hitting revenue targets, you can expect companies to want to kind of reduce costs, and usually the first cost, unfortunately, is human labor. So I think there's always that worry in the back of your mind, especially as a content creator, because we ultimately survive on these games, like a lot of us, especially those of us who do it full time. I have a full time job, so I don't do it full time. But there was a point in my life where I was doing it full time. You know, I was very reliant on how the game was doing in terms of my monthly income and paying my bills, etc. So there's definitely always that worry in the back of a content creator's mind. But you know, they took that time. They didn't have to reach out to us via email or via DM or whatever it was. They could have just said nothing, but they did reach out and kind of reassured us that things are in the works. They're working on it. They've got it's a very busy time for Blizzard. They've got the new raid tier out in World of Warcraft. By the way, if anyone's watching the World of Warcraft Race to World First, by the time this podcast's out, it might be over. He's not. Big Math is on. I am. But if it might be over by tomorrow, because it's obviously really insanely close to the end of it. But obviously, it's very, very busy time for Blizzard overall. So you know, it might just be that we've come out of BlizzCon and they're just kind of regathering their thoughts and kind of figuring how they want to tackle it. But you know, I think the game has done well so far. It's obviously had a big interest at the start of the game's life cycle, and now it's just about how you build on that and continue to kind of win back players and win back people who maybe kind of hit those walls in PvE and then kind of disappeared for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I just want to say like I didn't realize because I'm Canadian, but there was Thanksgiving, I think, that weekend after BlizzCon, and I that's what they told us, right? So just they just wanted to give us a little bit of context. So there was American Thanksgiving, and that's a big deal in the U.S. And also, I think, what did he say? He said the so Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, and also like remember when a game launches, sometimes like people have been working a lot and a lot and a lot until the game releases, and they just want a little bit of a breather before getting back into it. So maybe that's why it's been slow a little bit. So yeah, just wanted to update you guys with all of that. I guess it's as good of a time as any. And I guess if you have nothing else to say, I'm going to jump to our next topic.
Yeah, I'm British. I didn't really realize about Thanksgiving
Exactly.
either.
Both
Right?
of us,
Yeah.
both of us didn't realize. So that's a little bit our fault. But I mean, they could have communicated the fact that they were going to take a break, right? So I guess like
No, like it's Thanksgiving. Apparently, like I realized I've got into conversations with Americans about Thanksgiving, and they're like, "Dude, it's Thanksgiving. Can you just shut up for a bit?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't understand because I'm British." So like, I get it.
I didn't either. So yeah, just wanted to update you guys. And yeah, we'll jump to our next topic, which is, and this is a cool one, the which new archetypes we would like to see in the game. So we do have a lot of different archetypes in the game. We have, like, for example, Sneed is the Siege archetype. We have Jaina and Blood Mage Thanos with like spell archetypes, but there's some other archetypes we'd like to see. And I've thought of a couple of our archetype that I think are missing. And what I mean by archetype, I mean not a single card, but like a bunch of cards working together to create a unique archetype. So I gave the example of a spell and Siege with Sneed and other stuff like that. But the first one I would like to see is a ramp archetype. So right now in the game, we do have some form of ramp, but it's like mostly with gold economy, with like the Dark Iron Miner and like the Miner trait. And I guess Sneed has a little bit of that, but I'd like to see some units or in some other card games, they have some units that are, you play them and they suck by themselves, but they give you more economy, which would allow you to play bigger units. So I would like to see some units or spell that give you some more gold and some ways to play some big units. I feel like big units aren't getting a lot of love in the game right now. And I think it would be nice if we could play just a bunch of big units if we get all our ramp cards on the board or stuff like that. Yeah, so I guess
that's interesting. That's interesting because I kind of like that because obviously in Clash Royale you have Elixir Collector.
Exactly.
So you kind of you play you play Elixir because I was actually going to mention this on my side of the podcast. I probably still will mention this in my side of the podcast, but having a card like Elixir Collector which increases your passive gold gain, and in the game that I played called Command and Conquer Rivals, you had the option to do what we call a double harvester. So if anyone's played Command and Conquer, I don't know if you've ever played Command and Conquer Big Math, but
no, I haven't.
You build these things called harvesters, and they harvest resources for you. So they're essentially Command and Conquer Rivals versions of a kobold. But instead of having one kobold, you can choose to spawn 2 kobolds, but it's very costly. So it costs you like a harvester costs you about the equivalent in this game of like a hogger, right? So they're quite big units to want to spend your money on, and that leaves you very vulnerable at the start of the game to aggro decks, because if someone's playing an aggro deck, they rush your harvesters, then you're screwed. Your economy's down the drain. So I would love to have that option in Warcraft Rumble. I don't think that we get an option of risking an early disadvantage to potentially get a big late game payout. And I think like we have these big decks, but things like Abomination, you want 2 of them on the field. You want to get, if you had 2 Abominations, suddenly it becomes a problem. Like 1 Abomination is quite easy to deal with. 1 Molten Giant is easy to deal with. You want 2. So it's sort of like how can we fit that into the game? How can we get like the sort of the case? Well, if I'm playing an old Murkai, I know I'm screwed if I'm going to play this strategy. But like if I'm playing a Drakasat deck, I've got time. So it's sort of like I'd love to have that option. 100% agree with you. That'd be such a great deck to have.
Yeah, that would be. I didn't have any like good example of units that could do that or any spells. But if you guys have ideas, please tell us down below. We are very excited to hear of those great ideas about ramps. I'm gonna jump to another archetype which I do have examples of. It's
Okay.
the poison archetype. So we have poisoned. So there is some trait that are going to create some whole archetype or whole deck archetypes, but poison isn't one of them. So we do have poison with like obviously the spiderlings, with like the harpies. You could give them poison. Why am I blanking on that? Do we have many other poison units in the game? We the Dutch Patrol can have poison.
Yeah, it needs
Bandits.
talents. It's just got spiderlings that are base, right? So
Okay.
outside of talents, it's spiderlings that are base poison, but then everything else requires a talent of some sort, and then often you're competing with other talents that are also good.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, exactly. That's so what I would like to see, and here I have some example is some units that, for example, get some benefits when there's other poison units around. So maybe they heal when there's an enemy unit that's poison, or let's say we have, that could be a simple one, but a spell that does double damage to units that are poisoned. So that could create like a whole poison archetype, which I think would be just fantastic. I think we're completely missing in the game. And yeah, guys, once again, feel free to tell us down below if you guys have ideas or archetypes that we're missing you'd like to see. Do you have any archetypes? Now that I've kind of explained a little bit more what I mean by that, have you thought of...
I mean, I would have gone to the ramp because I like that. And sometimes I'm thinking like, no, I think like poison is a good one because obviously there's like the poison cycle deck in Clash Royale that works quite well. That's kind of a mix between poison and cycle, isn't it? Obviously, I think like you said, the ramp would be really cool. We already have things like full flying. We have like like rush. We have like rush aggro decks in the form of Old Merca. We've got siege. We've got. I'm trying to think what else would work that would be cool.
I have so many more.
Please hit me because you're more of the card game player out of the both of us. So
exactly.
Like, if hit us with a couple, hit us with like one more. Let's think about like what other one more would you like to see, and then we can have a little talk about it.
So just quickly for poison, we could also do frost, or we could also do burn. Right, those could be also interesting ones. But the other one I had in mind was like a sacrifice archetype.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of maybe like Emperor Thaurissan, if you guys played that mission, or the Baron Rivendare mission, where like when the units get destroyed, they charge, like they start charging something, and then they spawn a fire elemental or something like that. If we had like some sort of archetype that would benefit, which would gain a benefit for like the amount of units that are destroyed on your side or on the opponent's side. I think that could be like a crazy archetype. Could make skeletons much better. We could have, I don't know, for like an abomination could have actually, I guess we do have a little bit of that, like Baron Rivendare.
Baron, yeah. So I was going to mention it. Baron's got that kind of sacrifice archetype with the health regen, but like, could we do something more with it? Like,
so he actually triggers a sacrifice, but I want units to actually gain a benefit from sacrificing. So all of these pieces would work together and create just a unique deck, which would play like a bunch of skeletons, and then you decide when you kill them or not, and stuff like that. I think that would be crazy. Yeah. Guys, if you guys have any ideas of other archetypes, please tell us down below. I'm very interested to see. And yeah, perhaps, who knows, maybe the Chimera might have something with poison. We'll have to see. We know the Chimera has the poison trait. So maybe there's going to be a talent. We'll have to see.
I'm ready to see. Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's going to be it for my side of the Rumblecast. We are going to have, like always, the second half on the X's channel. Sorry, that way, boom, on Excoundrel's channel. So, yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode like the last two, and we'll see you guys next Monday for episode 4. And, yeah, take care, guys. Have a good one. Peace out.